Hey guys, it's Mike from Team OCG coming at you with an update today. We have a deck profile. In-person events have started back up where we are at. They just recently became sanctioned, so I have a water deck profile that I want to bring you guys through from a tournament I had on Sunday. And in other news, we have started streaming exclusively on Twitch. The link and all that is going to be down in the description, but definitely please join us. In the past, we've had a lot of requests for test videos with new decks and test hands and whatnot. And the biggest issue that we found with that was it's difficult to have a format where it doesn't seem like we're picking and choosing footage. And we found that streaming is a really good answer for that. And you can see all the raw footage and what goes into building and constructing decks, as well as how to play them. So far, we've been doing a lot of crazy rogue, and honestly, it's been a ball. Jake and I love doing it, so it's something we definitely want to do more of in the future. We want to get a more consistent weekly schedule down, but please make sure you are checking out our Twitch channel and come and join us for one of our streams. I promise you're gonna have a good time. In the meantime, let me bring you guys into the deck profile water. Like I said, our sanctioned tournaments just started up around here again. We just had on Sunday, I think it was our first sanctioned Sunday locals in over a year. It was huge. It was, I think, just under 50 people. It was a total of 6 rounds of Swiss. I ended up going 4-2. I want to say I just missed top 8 or just got in there. I didn't actually look at the final standings, but I had a winning record, and this was a pretty rogue option. Our locals is fairly meta. There's a lot of Tri-Brigade, a lot of Drytron, things of that nature. So without further ado, I'm going to get right into the deck profile. Again, this is Mermail, Atlantean's Water, however you want to call it. So to start things off, we have obviously the one copy of Moulin Glacier. This is the hand loop variant, so the goal is to go first and take, I believe it is 3 cards out of your opponent's hand, and then set up a board of 2 negates, including Borreload and Toad. And that typically just forces your opponents to waste their resources, and you just go in from game from there. 1 Moulin Glacier, no explanation needed. Take 2 cards out of their hand. It's broken. I do play the 1 copy of Megalo. This searches both the spell for the OTK, which is super important if you are forced to go second, but it's also a good option with Minstrel. If you look at their hand and you see they have either Dark Ruler No More or Super Poly, it's good to be able to search something that prevents those cards. So good there. Best extender, Mermail Abystius. No explanation needed for this guy. Discard a water, get 2 searches if you discard goons. Very, very good card. And then the only other Mermail I play is Pike. So what Pike does, for those of you that don't know, you discard a water, you get a level 3 water, so it allows you to search Minstrel, which is the only reason this deck is remotely playable. The reason I don't play Gund, which is the discard, bring up a Mermail, is it's not a starter. So this is essentially a starter in the same way that Prince or Diva is. If you draw this in Goons, there's a lot of combos that are really good. This also helps you go into Abyss Dweller and Toad late game. So not the worst thing to hard draw, as opposed to Gun, which very much is. Now for the Deep Sea portion, 3 Deep Sea Minstrel. This is the best card, obviously, in the deck. Again, this is what makes the deck playable. You can discard this in any water. You look at your opponent's hand, banish a card face up until the end of the turn. So you pull their hand traps, you get that knowledge, and then you're able to summon Diva without being Nibiru'd or Ashed or Veiled or whatnot, and go off from there. So definitely the best card. I play 1 Deep Sea Artisan. This card's a really good extender. I can show you guys the combo in another video, but essentially you go into Deep Sea Prima Donna, which returns their banished card. You then bring this out in defense. His effect goes off when it's special summoned. You mill a card, bring up a water, so you bring up Goons. Then you go into Omega with this and Prima Donna because she's a tuner. Go Omega, take a card out of their hand. Then you use Mecha Phantom Beast to go into Colt Wing, which then extends eventually into Bahamut. Totally awesome. And you get Borreload Savage. So this is needed as an extender. You don't necessarily want to draw it, but still a great card. The best starter, 3 Deep Sea Diva. No explanation needed for this. You bring out Prince, you start the hand loop. GG from there. 3 Prince, obvious. This card also is, excellent in the sense that it allows you to get the OTK off. So a lot of people, I main 3 Lightning Storm, which I'll get to. A lot of people just underestimate that this in any water is an OTK with Megalo, and a lot of people forget that, so that's another good thing if you're forced to go second. For your other Atlanteans, you play the 3 goons. No explanation needed here. You know, your Rhoda, essentially. This allows the deck to exist. Effectively, the deck is just all gas. You're basically just comboing through all your cards. And then I do play the 1 heavy infantry. I wouldn't play more than 1 of this. It's, you know, it's so easily searchable. It's there when you need it. I typically use this and Minstrel on follow-up turns just to out big threats. So, good card. You play the 1 Lapis Dragon. This is part of the combo as well. Allows you to sink into Borreload. You play the 1 Despot, and then, of course, the 1 Colt Wing for the Auroradon play. I only play 3 hand traps. I play the 3 Droll. This card's overpowered. It's just, you know, I expect it going in to play a lot of Drytron and other meta decks. This card just stops them in their track. I also like this card. In theory, it works really well with this deck because it prevents their hand size from getting crazy out of control, which means if you can do the loop in a follow-up turn, you are taking less cards. They usually won't end on 6 cards, so it helps you just take their whole hand and out-resource them that way. I do play the 3 Ash just as my only other hand trap. You know, most generic card, hit their pot cards, hit their searchers, whatnot. So those are all my monsters. As far as spells go, this was probably the best card all day, aside from Minstrel. 3 Lightning Storm. Our local has a lot of back row for whatever reason. And this card, the theory going in was I just needed something that allowed me to play as my 6th card going second. I wanted to main deck a card to do that. This is just so overpowered in the sense that you can either blow up all their back row, summon Diva, and hand loop them. You also are baiting out their negates. Or a bunch of what I did, a bunch of games, I just cleared their board. Like if they bricked, I would clear their monsters, summon Prince, and OTK them. So this card came in clutch all day. Excellent card. Very, very glad that got a reprint. I played 3 Aria. This is your Rhoda. It's a hard once per turn. You banish a water, add a Sea Serpent. The theory here was that I wanted to maximize my accessing my Prince and my Diva. So I wanted to have 3 of this. If you open a hand with, let's say, Minstrel and a random water, you can take their Ash if they have it, activate this, get Diva, and go off. I played double Prosperity. Just, again, more consistency. Excellent card in here. I always did 6. I know what 6 targets I have that allow me to do the combo versus what, you know, I need to get rid of at the right time. So this was never a problem, but it just lets you see your Divas, your Princes more consistently. 1 for 1. The whole combo in 1 card. It's broken. Reborn, I really, really liked. The coolest thing I did with this all day was I kaiju'd somebody's Dragoon and then reborned it and won the game that way. This and Prince is also full combo. You summon Prince, activate the effect, get Minstrel and Goons, and then you reborn the Minstrel not using its effect, and then you make Hulk that way. So it's full combo, just basically a 4th, kind of turns Prince into a Diva, so to speak. Great extender. And then last but not least, the scale, the spell negation for the OTK. So it's 40 cards, no more, no less. It was very consistent all day. I will do, let's go extra deck. So we got our cool tokens for Auroradon. You play 1 of the Quandrex. This is for the combo. This is the synchro you go into using Despot and a token that you then overlay with the Goons to make Bahamut Shark. Coral Dragon, this is more just to out big threats. This is one of the 6 cards you banish off Prosperity if you're still going for the combo. Didn't come up, I don't think, at all during the tournament on Sunday, but still a great card. This card was clutch. So HTS Simon, for those of you that don't know what this does, it's a generic synchro that anything it battles, you can remove it and the monster from play. This is my out to Dragoons. So in that same matchup, the guy was playing essentially Dragoons deck. I was able to bait out the negate, summon Prince, use Prince's effect to ditch Goons, you add Lapis, and then go into this and banish their Goons, which just, I wanted a 1 card out to Goons because this card typically struggles with outing Goons, and this came up really clutch. Really good card. You play Prima Donna, this is part of the combo. Omega, also part of the hand loop. Borreload, a negate, part of the hand loop. Crocosaurus, It didn't come up. There's a play where if you hard draw the Artisan, you can bring out Infantry and then get the extra normal summon and go into this guy and draw like 3 cards, which is pretty good. But it didn't come up for me. I typically banished it off pot. Trish, same thing. I usually banish it off pot unless I know I'm going to need out something with it. It didn't come up, but still, great card. For your links, you play Auroradon. This is key for the combo. Hauk, which is, no explanation needed. This is the combo in and of itself. Link Haribo, which there are some hands where you need this to link off Prince to put the 5th water in the graveyard for Mooling Glacia. It did come up. If you open with Teus and you are prosperitying into potentially a Goons, you want to keep this guy. The reason Barricade is in here is at a certain point in the combo, you actually have to reduce the number of monsters you have on the field and still be able to link into Auroradon, so that's where this guy comes up. He never uses effect, but he's there nonetheless. Dweller was broken. There's a lot of times where you end with the main combo, you end with just a Cult Wing on the board that's 4, and you have a Goons in your hand, so you can just, the following turn, you can summon this, make Dweller, use Goons to get another search, and just shut their graveyard off. Really good. And then, of course, Bahamut Shark, and totally awesome. 15. And then for the side deck, the theory going into the side deck was I wanted to maximize on cards going second because, essentially if everything went to plan, I tried to make my deck as consistently as possible. I was winning if I went first. So I wanted to max out on cards that would allow me to play is if I drew them going second as my 6th card. So I played 3 of the Water Kaiju. This card was broken all day. Out Goons, out any big threats. Pankratops as well kind of works to the same end. I usually sided this in against more back row heavy decks that I didn't need to side the Kaijus in for. 3 Dark Ruler No More. This was for Pendulum. It didn't come up, but surprisingly there's a lot of Pendulum in our locals, but I didn't play against it. 1 Harpies. This didn't come in either, just because everything that I played against was less back row heavy, and I had 3 Lightning in the main, but this would be sided against like Trap Tricks per se, or like maybe a Rogue Altergeist, something like that. 3 Imperm. So depending on what I was playing, I was siding this in. This was the only card I really sided in going first. If your deck was not particularly impacted by Droll for whatever reason, I would usually side this in, just because if I drew it in my opening hand going first, I could set it, and it was sometimes better than Ash, or better than Droll. It did come up. My last round, I played against Salomon Great, and I had this and was able to stop the searches after I took some of the cards out of his hand, so effectively won me the game. The best card in the side, evenly matched. I'm surprised I don't see this card more, to be honest with you. Again, the idea being that if I draw this as my 6th card, I will be able to play going second. It baits out a negate. What you'll typically do with this in this deck is, maybe you open this up, you activate it, end of battle phase, they waste their negate, sometimes they don't have the answer, so they just lose a bunch of cards, and then you summon Prince or Diva main phase 2, do the hand loop, and you've just now effectively out-resourced them. And then last but not least, you play the 1 red reboot. I didn't side this in at all, but again, any back row heavy decks, essentially is GG. This was also cool in the sense that you can use this on Imperm going first, but it never came up. Anyway, so that is the water deck. Definitely let me know what you guys think. As far as my matchups go, my 2 losses actually were to 2 Mech Knight Invoked players, believe it or not. That just has a really good matchup against this, because the purple guy outs both of your negates, and I never was able to get it with Omega or Glacia, so it happens. But otherwise, really good rogue option. Definitely recommend the deck. It is by far one of the most beautiful decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's by far one of my favorites. So definitely recommend checking it out if you are interested in testing. And as we said, definitely check us out on Twitch, and we look forward to seeing you in the stream. Take it easy.